Thank you very much for having us here today. And we are here for the ONOR Foundation podcast. And we are with Dr. Corrine Folmer at the Clovis Unified School District in Clovis, California, Central Valley. My name is Vera Mijojlic. I'm the founder and director of the Southeast European Film Festival in Los Angeles. And I'm a journalist by training. And I love talking to people, finding out about their background, their passion. And this podcast especially is about empowering others, young people, and young women. We really want to have them feel strong and, feel their own power so that they can choose a path, a career, maybe in education, like you do. So it's really, education is such an important, that's where everything really starts. Yes. It is family, but ultimately it's the school. But first, tell me, what brought you into this field? What was your inspiration? Was it somebody in your family or some friends?
It's a great question. While I do have a lot of family members who are in education, it is not the journey I thought I would pick for myself.
Oh, wow.
And just circumstance landed me here. And just, I think people put in my life at the right time. So I was an athlete, and I was playing in college and was invited to come coach a little 7th grade.
Oh, so you started as a coach. Very good.
And I started as a coach, and then I got a job as an instructional assistant. And I just have to be honest, the privilege of getting to work with children, it is such a privilege, and to watch them grow, and I just got fed by this. And it's a mutual experience. As much as I was helping them grow, they were making me better.
Yeah.
And there was just this power in the dynamic of working with youth. And so then I found myself entering into education, and started my career as a high school special education teacher. And I loved every minute of it.
Oh, the special education is, it's special really, but it's also difficult. So how did you navigate that? Because you were young, and you were dealing with people who really had special needs, and it's a whole different ball game. So what lessons did you take with you for the rest of your career from that experience?
I loved working with students with special needs because truly they have more abilities than their disability is. And they can do more sometimes than we as a society want to define that they can. And so it was so enjoyable to have to work in partnership with parents, other team members in the educational, and with the student to be creative about with how you learn. How do we help you get there?
Yes.
And it was powerful. I think it really shaped how I viewed education in a totality, that not everyone learns at the same pace, in the same way, at the same rate. And I guess once we believe, I heard a quote today, actually interviewing a teacher, that once we believe that all students can learn, it's our job to teach how they learn.
Yes.
And I think that really changed how I approached education
across
my whole career. But it was a privilege to get to work with the students I had.
So when you say you started as a coach, what was it that you were coaching?
Oh yes, I coached soccer. So
that sport I know. I don't know football, American football, but soccer, yes.
Yes, yeah.
So
it was a great experience for me. I came from a family that was amazing, but we didn't have the economic means, and sports was my avenue into college to further myself and education. And it was a privilege. I got to play at a local college here. I also ran track and had a lot of success. And I think it's really where I learned the influence that other people have in our lives. I had some phenomenal coaches that often saw something in me that I didn't always know was there. And with their guidance and belief, and by the way, and putting high expectations for myself and my teammates, I built lifelong relationships that have just informed so much about how I view the world and how I view in working on teams professionally.
I read, of course, about the school district, and there are 49 schools and 43,000 students.
Yes.
So it's a complex thing, and also you have set up high goals, or rather the school district has set up high goals. the mind, body, spirit. It reminds me of the Latin, like mens sana in corpore sano, which is true, still true. So we go back 2,000 years to the same thing. But obviously the school district has significant success in all of these disciplines. But can you tell us a little bit about the athletics? What is exciting for you when you see your team?
Yeah. Well, it's really not just even athletics, but all of our co-curricular programs we offer, from drama to our dance programs, you name it, to robotics. I mean, we just have for so much. And I have to be honest, I have been the great recipient of a tradition and a value system that our founding superintendent started. And one of the things I've learned in education is, as districts grow, at times when you grow rapidly, you can easily lose what you were founded on.
Oh, the core
values.
Yeah.
And in our district, I have to credit every superintendent that I've had, that I've had the legacy that I get to follow in, and they've really held tight to. We had a founding superintendent, Dr. Floyd B. Buchanan. And he was really a visionary leader. He came out here in the 1960s from Oklahoma, and was a young guy and was a part of the 7 districts that formed Clovis Unified. And he's the one who really established the values and motto that I got to benefit as a student of Clovis Unified.
Also,
I went to school here. In fact, I'm the 3rd generation to go through Clovis Unified, and my children are the 4th. And it brings me excitement, because I've watched that the experience that my grandfather had before it was a unified school district, but came back and coached when Doc founded it, that my dad had when he went through, it's been enduring. And so the values that we have, and I'll talk specifically to the co-curricular because it served me well, and athletics, and we are competitive. Doc talked about, and our district really does believe in competition. I think sometimes that gets misunderstood, right? Sometimes people will say competition's for expense of others.
Yeah.
But what we really focus on is it's learning to compete on a team, it's learning to compete against a standard, and learning to compete against yourself. And those are lessons I take forward.
But you have the school district has a remarkable graduation rate. And that was like 95.9%. I mean, immediately I saw that, I said, is this really true? Who and what do you credit for this success?
Oh, it's 100% our educational team. I will argue I have the best educational team in the nation, because they work really hard and pour everything they have into our kids, and they understand the goal. We have 3 aims in Clovis Unified, and the first one is to maximize achievement for all students, and all is bold and capitalized. And that's intentional. I love that we're at 95.9%, but we're not there yet. Because see, all is bold and capitalized, because it's our job to get every kid across their finish line. So we still have work to do. But how are we able to achieve it is because I have an incredible team, and they know the mission, they know what we're here for, and they're relentless in their pursuit to make sure we help our kids be the best they can be.
You mentioned also that you still interview all the teachers who come in for the job. How do you find time for all of this? You have to run the district, you have to interview people, you have to come up with things, to kind of motivate your team. So a little bit about you. How do you manage all of this?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll just say you're right. I giggle because our founding superintendent, Doc, started that tradition. And it was a little easier. It was a single high school district back then, and we are now the 12th largest. So it is. We've had to evolve. I do group interviews, which we've actually found a lot of power. And so I'll interview 6 candidates at the same time that might be going to different places in our district, but it builds an interconnectivity and a respect and a common understanding of why everyone's here and what we're working towards. I really believe in managing time. There's a lot of work that goes home. There just is, to get it all done. But being present with people who are going to be the difference makers in the lives of our kids and in our community is probably the best investment of time that I can have.
I've also read that you have established strong partnerships in the community, and I'm especially interested in your partnerships with employers that potentially could, hire the students later on. So where do you see the responsiveness coming from? From what sectors of, the commerce or industry or the county?
Yeah, I have to say, it hasn't been even a specific field or arena. The partnerships are great. One of the things that I'll say is that we do work really hard. You know, we aren't able to accomplish what we can do with our students if it isn't for the community support. Right? Passing bonds to help our facilities, make sure they're first class for our kids and for our employees. And then we work our tails off to maintain them, to make sure that the community's proud of that. And I think it's that investment. It's the understanding that their investment in us is a return investment for them.
For them, absolutely.
And because that understanding exists, even as our community grows, you know, we have not struggled with getting businesses to partner, whether it's in a CTE program, or it's just even donating books to schools that might be in our more impoverished areas, or any of those things, hiring kids off the bat to give them an opportunity. So we're so grateful. There's that saying, great schools make great communities and great communities make great schools. It's that reciprocal, and we're blessed to have that.
Have you seen from the community some people coming here as maybe interns or helping as volunteers, and vice versa for maybe some students or some teachers to go there, you know, to experience something outside of the school district to kind of create these bonds stronger?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give credit to California. There's been a lot of investment in what they call CTE, the Career Technical Education, and it allows us to place students out in workplaces for class credit. And we see this partnership, and each of the pathways we have, and we have 5 to 6 pathways at every one of our high schools. They're not all the same. And so it really helps us diversify, and we allow our students to travel between the schools to attend those.
Oh, great.
So they get a sense of interest. But it really does allow them to explore what they, do I enjoy this on the student side? And I think for our business partners, there's a general tendency in our society to want to define youth today. They don't do this. They don't. And when our students get to go out and show, we've got incredible kids who work hard, and it just opens this dialogue and respect and helps us continue to grow as a community.
Well, mind, body, and spirit, going back to that, what, you know, in your, there's the arts, pathway, there is the sports, athletics. So what do you think, today, in today's society, which is so technologically oriented, what would you say are the core skills that we still need to develop? Is it like the traditional reading and writing, which I believe is still very important, or STEM, or if it's a combination of all of them, how do we, it places a lot of demands on teachers' time and on students. So, tell us a little bit how do you resolve this puzzle?
Yeah, definitely over time, and I think if you look at the history of education, a lot of competing priorities. Yeah. And our job is to prepare students for the workforce, career, so that they get the best of the world that they can have. And so it does take reevaluation. I mean, I feel for our teachers. They work so hard. There are more standards to teach than there is time in a day. Yes. There just is. But I think I want to commend educators all across, I'll say in the Central Valley, who are coming to school every day, finding ways to integrate. We need, you're 100% right, students have to know how to read. They need to understand number sense and be able to do math. We need them to understand things like the scientific method and how that applies to life that they see. That education is still important, but sometimes it's in how we deliver it. Right? Do they get exposure through technology and developing a project that's around those? So I think it's in the intuitiveness of how we integrate all those. And then still, I think the number one thing we hear from everyone is, in a world of technology, our kids still need the soft skills. How do they talk to each other? How do they collaborate and work together? It's something that's very much needed.
Well, that's one topic that I would like to explore with you and get your perspective on: interpersonal skills, people skills, communication, because we are witnessing everywhere, an epidemic of loneliness. The kids are shy, they have, anxiety. So, so these are the real issues in real life. So kids get prepared in some other areas, but then on this, level, this, well, what do I do? And they are not just shy, but they're really anxious about establishing that direct contact with another person, because it's the social media, it's the phones, and so on. So it seems to me that this environment here that you have created with your team is very helpful for the young students to overcome, this weirdness about communication, if I can say that. So what have you observed? What do you think is working? What would you like to see changed within the schools and the community that you think would be helpful to the young people?
It's a great question because there's a lot of differing views around the use of social media and technology. Our students have access to so much more. I mean, I had to go research in an encyclopedia. I don't think our kids know what that is today. No. And really it is about finding a healthy balance because the world they're going to enter is going to have the technology. But what we are working to do is find that partnership with our parent community, in partnership with our older students around how do we use technology in a tool, but engage in work where you do get fulfilled. Because even our students, we went and revisited after COVID, where I think it was easy for people to get really devoted to the personal connections were coming through devices. Right? When we couldn't go out and see each other, that's where it happened. And our students have been slowly helping us walk that back, right? And trying to find activities and what they feel helps them come out of their shell and feel in a safe environment. And so we have lots of teams, and I won't go into too much because of our time together, but we have comprehensive wellness teams where student voice is really important in that, as well as the adult voices in the room. It has to be a mutual understanding if we're going to gain ground.
Well, it seems to me that there are so many good things happening here that we need to replicate that, duplicate that, come here and say, okay, we will do this, and that. So, but that's also leadership. It's about leadership, and this is what ONOR Foundation is trying to impart to other young women out there, how to be leaders, with compassion, humility, as that kind of describes you, and and to also translate that your enthusiasm for education to young people. So, do you mentor somebody? And if you do, how do you impart your experiences to somebody to empower a young woman that you see the potential, but she's still shy?
It's a great question. I'm sure I could always do better at mentoring more. I think that the greatest gift we have to give is being present. And sometimes to help mentor someone, you really have to listen, right, to see where they're at. Because one of the greatest things that I think is common across many leaders, I find a lot in female leaders is, and if I'm to be human, I've struggled with it times in my life, which is that imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? Am I qualified for this? And I think the thing I would want to affirm to people is that you don't have to know everything and you don't have to have all the answers, because we're never in this alone. I have an incredible team, and it is because of them that this work moves forward. And it's the collective ideas and wisdom, and we have to be okay hearing those things. We have to be okay sharing our voices at table, because it's the varying perspectives that push on ideas that generate great outcomes. And I would just encourage, much like I am not a huge fan of public speaking, and that's not a secret amongst my team. And I have about 70,
I know you had some doubts about this, should I do this, should I not do it, but that's okay.
I did. We have about, 7,300 employees that I speak to at the beginning of a year. That is incredibly tough for me, because it's never about, it's always about the team. Right? But what I would encourage any young person who is curious in leading is, one, be the best at the job you have right now, because that gives you the skill set for what will come next. And then don't be afraid if someone's guiding you to say, I think you should try this, to take that shot. I'll be honest, when I started my career in education, superintendent was never on the list. Right? In fact, I only got my administrative credential to be an athletic director. It's the only job I've not held.
But you see, well, how things, the divergent roads, that you never know where it leads.
You don't, and that trust. So I would say sometimes just take a chance, be open to learning, and I had the opportunity, honestly, just before we met, to interview a bunch of incoming coaches that are going to open our newest high school. And we talked about that so much growth happens in failure. Yet we as a society sometimes look at that as a negative. But it's in those moments that we learn the most about ourselves, and we learn a lot about where we're at. And so just embracing that learning's a journey, and enjoy the journey.
So what about this newest high school?
Yeah, so we've grown enough that we are opening our 6th comprehensive high school. We have alternative ed and an online school, but it's the Terry Bradley Educational Center. He was one of our previous superintendents, and it's going to open this August with 7th, 8th, and 9th graders.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic.
Yeah. Now, learning a construction project, talk about growth. Been a lot of growth, but it's exciting to watch our district grow and get to build our team. Because with growth comes more staff, more people to pour into our kids. So we're excited.
So you are able, or rather the community is able to bring some investment to, first of all, maintain what you already have, and then to build new facilities for. So the community is growing. You're seeing more students?
Yes, we're seeing more students. We've opened so many schools, and I think it's a huge compliment to the work that my educational team does, right? People want to be a part of Clovis Unified, and that's the greatest compliment. And with that, I think because my team works really hard to deliver on some of those values and give our kids a first-class education, that I'm so grateful they've invested in us so that we can keep building schools and maintaining schools that they can be proud of and our kids can be proud of.
So how about, it's a very diverse community
Yes,
in the Fresno County. It's just, the ethnically, linguistically, people coming from different backgrounds, different expectations, and so on. So that must be, to some degree an obstacle, because of course maybe not all kids speak, they are good English speakers, or it's the second language. So how do you deal with this? Because in so many areas of our lives, we have to be culturally sensitive, because different people understand things differently.
Right.
So how do you go about that?
We have a lot of work in our district. It's called IDAC, Intercultural Diversity Advisory Council. And we work really hard to have open and honest conversations around and developing spaces where we get to share each other's heritage and culture. We have 53 languages spoken in Clovis Unified. And
good for you.
Yes,
That's
and honestly, it's a great compliment, because it is our diversity that's a strength, right? It is important to understand, and what I have found in our work is in getting to know all of the different cultures and adapting to better serve and have them help us be better for them. We also learn that what does every parent want? They want their child to know they're getting a quality education, getting high standards, and that they're valued, right? They're getting that individual attention. That is our goal for all 43,000 students. And when that's the common groundwork that we're working from, about doing what's best for kids, there may be bumps in the road, but we can get through it. In
our conversations and interviews for the Honor Foundation podcast, we like to ask some rapid fire questions at the very end. So is there a figure in history that you admire?
Not in history, but my mom comes to mind in a heartbeat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, she's incredible.
So you learned from her, right? She was your role model.
She was a single mom, went back to school, and man, you'll not find a better champion for just kids in general. I mean, she championed everybody, and I hope I can be that champion.
Well, you see, there's a woman behind every woman.
There is.
So that's what this podcast is about. Well, how about a city that inspires you, a place that inspires you, that you visited in your life? It could be anything.
Interest anywhere. I will say, actually, I was inspired when I was an athlete. I traveled to Japan. And I will say, talk about a culture that is community-based.
Yes.
Right? And servant-minded. And I just think there's many things that we can learn from all cultures, but that stood out to me the most.
There you go. So, which season you like best during the year?
Oh, I'm a fall girl.
Oh.
I love fall.
How about food? What food do you like?
Oh, okay, so I got interviewed by some kindergartners, and my answer's the same. I love a really good taco. I just do. Okay,
so next time we'll go and meet at a taco place, and then we'll talk about food. So how about a color? What is your favorite color?
I'm gonna go with blue. Yeah.
As evident here,
It
and blue eyes, so there you go. So this is a little bit more a broader question, but what does empowerment and legacy mean to you?
Empowerment, I think, is what we talked about a little bit earlier, seeing the potential and the best in someone and helping them get there. Legacy, it's funny, our district theme, which I don't think you knew this year, was building on the legacy. Every year we pick a theme. And I've talked to my staff about, you know, a legacy is built in all the individual moments in the decisions we make. And for me, legacy is something that you can look back on and hopefully say I made a difference. And that's my hope.
Well, I think I have exhausted pretty much all my questions except the last one. If there is a one word that you think that your team, either current team or your previous team, would describe you, what word would that be?
Oh, gosh, two came to mind. I think they would say I'm passionate. I'm passionate about the cause. And then probably because a little bit of my background, they might say competitive.
There's nothing wrong with that, but you're an athlete, you were an athlete, you still are, so competitiveness is okay. So that's part of the empowerment, you know, so, well, this is, you know, would love to, you know, once you open the new high school, that would be great to visit and see you in action.
Please do.
You know,
It's
how that
amazing.
works, and I'm sure that with the Honor Foundation, not just the podcast, but the foundation itself and the people, the women that it, you know, really interacts with, that would be a great, powerful combination, you know, to have in this community. So I really do hope that we will revisit some of these, you know, topics. And it's a wonderful place. It really makes me feel like, you know, I would like to be young again and just enroll in your, one of your schools.
Well, thank you so much. That's a huge compliment, and truly it's a compliment to my team.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Folmer.
Yeah,
you know,
appreciate it.
it's a pleasure, really.
Likewise.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck with everything that you
thank
do.
you.
You know, we need you.
Oh, very sweet.
So,
Thank you so
okay.
much.